At some point in your life as an INFP, you might find that you come to be too reliant, too dependent on a specific community. Perhaps you've got this group of friends that you hang out with every week, and together you talk about mostly the same topics. You tend to adopt a shared set of values, a shared set of beliefs, a shared set of identity. And while there's nothing wrong with that identity, it's a nice thing, it's a positive experience, you might find that that identity, that set of actions and activities and topics only stimulate a part of your brain, and you want to experience something more. And you also start to see here, beyond that, the limitations of this kind of a script. You might start to realize that your nation, your country, has a very narrow set of values and beliefs. And while those beliefs in themselves are not necessarily bad, the problem here is on their own, they are not enough. And what I mean is, often when we approach the system stage of thinking, what we call the yellow stage in spiral dynamics, what ends up happening is we transcend group and identity. We stop looking at ourselves as a set of or a group of people. For example, you might start questioning whether you're an INFP or whether you are really the same as other INFPs. And you might start to question whether you're really an American and what it means to be an American for you. And you might say, hey, yeah, I do have this part of me that I can tell is influenced by Americans or by this kind of INFP lifestyle. But I also have other parts of myself that go beyond that. Or at least I'd like to have other parts of myself. I'd like to have a part of myself that was more like an ESTJ, or perhaps more like, for example, an ESFP, right? So what's happening here is you're starting to learn systems thinking. And when you think the word systems thinking, you often think it's about technology, programming, and things like that. And while that can be a part of it, for sure, what goes beyond is that a network or a community is a set of selves that are mostly identical to each other's and that work on one set of purpose, right? Towards one set goal, right? A system is a network of communities. What that means is, it goes beyond a one identity and it goes into multiple identities. And here you might start to finding yourself developing other cognitive functions than the traditional INFP functions. You might start developing other personality traits than what you normally have, or you might start going into other hobbies than those that you used to have, right? Because most people tend to be quite specialized in today's world. We have this special skill that we do, that we're really good at. But when you start hitting yellow, what starts happening is you start noticing you have a diverse set of skills, and not all of them are aligned with each other. So you might start feeling like you've lived multiple lives in one lifetime, right? So you have the part of yourself that used to live in the US, and now you live in Spain, for example. Or you might have the part of you that used to go to university and used to be all about, for example, studying a specific field. And, you even perhaps worked in that field for a couple of years. And at some point you changed your career and you went in a different direction. And now you have a different sense of self. But you also have the old self, because it's still there. It still was a part of your life, an important part of your life. You still have that set of skills. And of course, you'd like to do something with it. Even if the goals are not always aligned, and even if the interests and values were different, you don't believe in the same things that you used to when you were a teenager, or when you were in the university, or when you were a young adult, right? Now you're starting to develop more complex sense of values and beliefs, but you still understand why you had those beliefs, and you still appreciate the thoughts behind them, right? So here, it's not about rejecting old communities or things like that. It's about combining them, right? So how can I combine this diverse set of skills that I found myself having these days, now that I've lived and done different things and made some changes in my life? How do I, build a consistent sense of self when I'm scattered across multiple domains and when my identity is made out of different parts of my life with different experiences and different activities? Well, the thing you have to do here first is embrace some level of ambiguity. Often as a child or as a teenager, having a set identity and committing to that fully is so key. You go so full on, so committed to one way of being. You make your hobby your life and who you are and how you dress and how you talk But when you get older, you start realizing that, hey, actually, I have this soul, right? This spirit inside of me. And this spirit can take many forms, and it can come out when I play a certain musical instrument, or when I engage in a certain form of artistic expression, or when I'm engaged in a certain work, right? But it can take multiple forms, and the spirit is me. The spirit is, something that goes deeper than that, and it's the intention with which I do things. It's why I play music. It's why I have pursued a certain line of work, or it's why I found myself, interacting with or working together with certain communities, right? So what you're seeing here is, yeah, I have a certain set of intentions and desires and values and goals in my life, and these goals and intentions, they come out differently depending on in which environment I am in. So practicing systems thinking is recognizing this, and here what you could do is, for example, you could take a time to journal and think, what are some different parts of me, right? What parts of my life do I have? Do I have, for example, here you can divide your life into chunks, of, my time in high school, my time in university, my time at that work, You might think of, what experiences did I get there? What values did I embody? What did I do there? And how did I feel in that environment, right? And you might want to put that all down. You might want to find yourself looking at this different set of chunks, right? Different circles, some bigger than others, some a more important part of you, and some smaller, but still there, still notable, still interesting, right? And on top of that, you might want to connect the dots, right? So how does these different systems come together? Why did I go there? And why did I move there? And why did I come there? Well, how did I end up there, right? Here you might want to find yourself developing a more holistic view of yourself and what you do and how it all comes together. You might realize that, oh, there's a purpose behind everything I've done. There's been some kind of goal in every single direction. There's some life command, some kind of systematic principle that orients what I do.